Jade had never seen the world. From the moment she opened her eyes as a baby, all she knew was darkness. Born completely blind, her life was shaped by sounds, textures, and voices. Her mother, Amelia, had always told her that light wasn't something you saw, it was something you felt. And for the early years of her life, Jade felt warmth, love, and safety. But that light began to dim the moment her mother fell ill. Cancer came like a thief, taking away the woman who had been her entire world. Jade was only 6 years old when she heard her mother's final breath. After that, everything changed. Her father, Earl, spiraled quickly. Once a decent, working-class man, grief turned him into a shadow. Alcohol became his escape. Gambling became his addiction. And Jade, once his little girl, became a burden he didn't know how to carry. The house filled with strangers, angry voices, and broken promises. Food became scarce. Kindness disappeared. Earl no longer tucked her in at night or read her stories like her mother used to. Instead, he barked orders and left her alone in the dark, sometimes for days. She learned to fend for herself, memorizing the layout of the house, feeling her way to the kitchen, enduring the silence. When Earl began to lose big money to dangerous people, desperation pushed him over the edge. One night, as thunder rolled in the distance, he invited over a man named Griggs, a lone shark with cold eyes and a cruel grin. Jade heard them talking, her father's voice slurring with fear. "She's not worth much," Earl muttered. "But she's different. Blind since birth. Quiet. She won't make trouble." Griggs leaned forward, curious. "We have clients who like rare pieces. She might fetch a good price." The deal was struck for a sum that barely covered Earl's debts. He didn't even say goodbye to his daughter. Jade was handed over like luggage, placed into a cold van, and driven to a secluded estate on the edge of the city. It was called the House of Mercy, but there was nothing merciful about it. It was a front, a luxurious prison where girls like Jade were trained to serve the rich. Blind girls, mute girls, orphan girls, each treated like a collector's item. Silent servants in golden cages. Jade's world grew even darker, if that were possible. The staff were strict and merciless. She was beaten for mistakes, starved for disobedience, and kept isolated. She was taught how to pour tea without sight, how to memorize routines by sound, and how to be invisible. She cried the first few weeks, but eventually, the tears stopped. In the silence of her captivity, she remembered her mother's voice, a lullaby that would hum through her memories. "You are the light, my precious Jade. Even when the world is dark, you will shine." Across the city, in a towering skyscraper made of steel and ambition, Aiden Thorne ruled his empire. As the CEO of Thorne Tech Industries, he was one of the most powerful men in the country. Cold, calculated, and brilliant, he had built a business legacy from nothing. Raised in an orphanage after being abandoned as a child, Aiden had no time for emotions, friendships, or distractions. He was known as the Steel King. In the media, a man no one could bend. But beneath the suits and success, Aiden carried a memory, one he'd buried for decades. As a boy of 10, living in the Windvale orphanage, he had once wandered into the forest behind the building. Lost and scared, he had slipped down a steep ravine and nearly died. Just as he thought it was over, small hands had grabbed him, pulled him up, and guided him back. The girl was blind. He remembered the way she moved, confident in the dark. She had vanished before he could thank her, and no one believed him when he told the story. But he never forgot her, the blind girl who saved him, his silent angel. Years passed. Aiden conquered industries, buried his pain, and locked away every memory that made him feel weak. Until one strange afternoon shattered his armor. His business partner, Miles, invited him to a private estate showcase, an event for elite clients to purchase rare household service experiences. Aiden hated such pretentiousness, but agreed to attend for the sake of networking. The estate was opulent. Gilded doors, marble floors, and hosts with hollow smiles. And then she walked in. A girl with long black hair, pale skin, and clouded eyes. She moved slowly, carefully, holding a silver tea tray. Her hands trembled slightly, but her face remained calm. Aiden felt the air leave his lungs. Something in him stirred, something deep and ancient. He asked her name. Jade, she whispered. The room faded. Time slowed. Have you ever been to Windvale? He asked. She hesitated. I was there a long time ago. My mother used to take me to the forest. I remember the ravine. Aiden stood up abruptly, knocking over his glass. He didn't care. You saved me, he said, his voice shaking for the first time in years. You're the girl. Guards moved to block him, but he wasn't a man to be stopped. Aiden made calls, his lawyers, private investigators, law enforcement. Within hours, the estate was raided. Authorities uncovered the trafficking operation. Jade and dozens of girls were rescued. The owners were arrested. Earl was exposed as the one who sold his daughter and thrown into prison. Aiden brought Jade to his private estate in the hills. It was nothing like the prison she had known. There were windows that let in the sound of birds. There was sunlight on her skin. But more than that, there was kindness. Aiden spoke gently to her, listened to her stories, and never pitied her. For the first time in years, Jade felt safe. He brought in medical experts. A renowned ophthalmologist believed a complex surgery could restore partial vision. Jade was hesitant. What if I lose what little I have left? She asked. You've lived your life in the dark, Aiden said. You deserve the choice to see the world. She agreed. The surgery was long and painful. Recovery took months. During that time, Aiden never left her side. He read to her, cooked for her, held her hand through every nightmare. Their bond deepened. They laughed, argued, dreamed. And then, on a spring morning, the bandages were removed. At first, everything was blurry. Light flooded her eyes for the first time in her life. She blinked, tears falling freely. Shapes formed. The outline of a face. Aiden. She saw his eyes, soft, full of awe. You're beautiful, she whispered. He smiled. You've always seen me, he said. Now I finally see you too. Their relationship blossomed. It wasn't a fairy tale, it was real. They had scars, pain, and pasts. But they also had hope. Jade, now partially sighted, began writing her story. She published a memoir titled Blind But Not Broken. It became a bestseller, and with Aiden's help, she launched the Lumina Foundation, a refuge for rescued and abandoned children. She insisted on personally interviewing every child. She remembered every name, every story. She became a symbol of resilience. Earl, from behind bars, tried to contact her. He claimed he was sorry, that he had changed. But Jade never replied. She forgave him quietly in her heart, but she had no intention of letting his poison back into her life. Years later, Aiden took her back to Windvale, the forest where their lives had first crossed. He led her to the ravine, now overgrown with wildflowers. This is where you saved me, he said. And this is where I ask you, will you spend the rest of your life with me? He knelt, holding a simple ring. No diamonds, just a gold band, engraved with the word light. She said yes, her voice shaking, and they held each other under the trees that had once echoed with fear. Their wedding was small. No tabloids, no flashing cameras. Just them, the children from Lumina, and the people they loved. Jade walked herself down the aisle. Aiden wept when he saw her. Not because of her dress or the music, but because she glowed, not with vision, but with peace. In the years that followed, Jade continued to inspire. She gave talks at universities, consulted on disability rights policies, and mentored young survivors. She and Aiden adopted 2 children from the Lumina Foundation. Every morning, they drank tea together in the garden, laughing about their past and dreaming about the future. But the story didn't end with just love. It ended with legacy. Jade's life proved that even those discarded by the world could become its greatest light. That even in darkness, there could be hope. That love wasn't about what you saw. It was about what you felt. And sometimes, the most powerful savior is the one you saved first.